and welcome to Cyber Sidekicks. This week we're here at RSAC in sunny California with Christina Richmond.
And Rory Duncan.
Thank you. It is odd because we're on episode 60 of the
Wait,
podcast.
won't this be 61?
Oh, that's right.
It'll be 61. Yeah.
61. And we've always kind of done it virtually, apart from one episode.
Yeah.
And yet here we are in physical proximity, which is very strange.
Here we are.
But here we are. However, we're not alone this week.
We're not.
Who do we have on?
So, we have a wonderful guest with us today. His name is Josh Brown. He is the CISO of Spektrum Labs. And we have a lot to talk to Josh about. We only have maybe 20 minutes with you.
Okay, I'll talk fast.
Yeah. But thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming
my
on.
pleasure.
And it was last minute too, so thank you so much. So Josh, we always start with the softball question of what keeps you up at night?
Yeah, I mean, actually, you know, for a CISO, I sleep like a baby. I wake up every 2 hours crying. But no, I think, you know, yes, thank you. Don't forget to tip your server. I'll be here all week. No, I think, you know, there's a crisis in the InfoSec community that's been building for a while. And I think that that's rooted in the concept of resilience. And I've seen it as a CISO in terms of how the CISO relates to the rest of the senior leadership team and the board. I've seen it in the fractures between what outcomes we expect to get from, you know, governance, risk, and compliance schemes and better security outcomes, which hasn't materialized.
Right.
And I think we're encountering a natural evolution of our industry in a shift from what I will say is from promises to proof.
Wow, you said a mouthful. So resilience, first of all, has been this word that has been around for decades, but at least in the last decade, there has been this highlight on being resilient. And so I would almost liken it to, you know, AI washing, resilience washing. This sort of painting something over with a broad brush and calling it X.
For sure.
But you also said proof.
Yes.
So, okay, tell us a little bit about what Spektrum does, because we need to understand that in order to educate our listeners about what you mean by resilience
and listen,
proof.
You know, I've been in the industry for over 25 years now, which is really depressing when I think about it. But
and nothing's changed. Everything old is new again.
Right. But you're absolutely right. What we don't want is to have resilience become the next zero trust, right? We don't want this to be a marketing phrase. We want it to tie to actual things. So we believe that resilience answers three questions that are fundamental to a business. And those things we also believe map directly to what the CISO, the CIO, and the CFO really care about.
Okay.
So the CISO cares about a lot of things, but primarily as it relates to resilience, are all the tools that I've invested money in working properly, configured properly, and do I know that at any given moment, not just by going through 40 dashboards and taking screenshots, right?
Right.
Do I know that, not do I suspect that? The CIO then looks askance at the CISO and says, I have no idea what this guy actually does all day. I just want to know if our backups will enable us to recover if all of his stuff falls over.
Falls apart, yeah.
And the CFO has been thinking about golf the entire time and says, I don't trust either of these bozos. I want to know that our cyber risk insurance will pay out fully and on time, make us whole if we're breached, right? Those three things come together to form the concept of what we take to be resilience.
Okay.
And it also points to an important point, which is that no one person owns this concept, and those three entities have to work together in concert to ensure resilience for the business.
Okay, so you've talked about the three different people.
Yeah.
You've talked about what they care about, so they're care-abouts, which is great.
Yep.
But then you said the word proof.
Yeah.
And I know what you do.
Yeah.
But it's hard to believe that anybody can prove this, because we've all seen the spreadsheets in GRC, the tick the box exercise in compliance. We've all seen that this company is going to tell us our score, or this company is going to help us with incident response, and they're going to find everything that's gone wrong in our environment. So help me understand how you can prove anything.
And I'm going to strengthen it even further, and this is going to draw a lot of eyebrows up and to the right, I think, which is that evidence is not proof.
Oh,
so
really?
what our industry is really great at is collecting evidence.
Okay.
We get screenshots, we get system-generated reports, we get attestations, right? These are a range of promises to data, right? We have tons of data. We're swimming in data.
Yeah, we have too much.
weird, isn't it, that we have all this data about stuff and
Yeah.
yet we're still not producing better security
Right.
outcomes, right?
Right.
And so in our mind, our approach has been to categorize proof into 4 levels. Levels 1 through 4, right? Level 1 is I promise. This is just like answering a question on your cyber insurance application. Do you have MFA for 100% of your users? Absolutely,
Absolutely,
I do, right?
I do.
Tick, right? And on we go.
Yeah.
Level 2 is I promise, but I'm also providing some form of evidence. Again, this isn't proof.
Evidence, not
but,
proof.
And, and this is great for frameworks like a SOC 2 that's more procedural and technical, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
I need a copy of your last board meeting minutes. I need a copy of your privacy documentation, right? I need a screenshot of your org chart,
Yep,
right?
Yep.
That is evidence, right? And we accept that in our platform as well.
Okay.
Level 3 is having somebody outside of your organization attest. So like a
like
SOC
a
2 auditor.
PwC or an
Exactly, right?
Accenture.
We've examined your controls
Okay.
for appropriateness and effectiveness over a period of time, and we're attesting to that, right?
Yeah.
So that is a type of evidence and,
Yeah.
and proof chain.
Yeah.
But then level 4 is where we're doing something really kind of different, and it's where we become like a flight recorder for your cyber resilience posture data,
Interesting.
right?
Okay.
So, that is direct cryptographic proof of provenance. We are connecting directly to your security safeguards, whatever those toolings may be.
Okay.
We're pulling down that configuration information, and then we can match that up against any set of requirements you have. Your own internal requirements, a partner's requirements, your holding company's requirements, even your cyber risk insurance application, right? We can extract those requirements and evaluate you against those. And then we wrap all of that in privacy and security protection so you can control how you share that data if you need to share that data. Auditors, assessors, appraisers, whatever.
I mean, it strikes me that that's quite advanced, an advanced stage for
Yeah.
most companies to be at. Obviously, you have customers.
We do, yeah. We just came out of stealth at the end of October.
Right. So what kind of companies are at the stage where they would, implement a stage 4?
Yeah. Well,
is this an industry-specific thing, or some more kind of keen to get to that level?
yeah. So we've been, prior to emerging from stealth, there were multiple years spent on normalizing the data structure from all these different tools, because most modern tools have an API. You can ask all sorts of things from the API, but they're sending, there's no coordination between all these different, often competing companies about how they structure the data that comes back.
Right.
So we built a data normalization fabric that can take in all of those sources, and then we transform that data into something really simple and super boring, red and green dots, that tell you whether or not you're meeting the criteria, whatever your standards are, whether it's a compliance package or your own internal best practices.
Who's determining the red and green, though?
Yeah, so ultimately the customer does. Now we have recommendations, we have a viewpoint on this, right? And we have stuff out of the box that we provide per safeguard category that we think are table stakes.
Okay.
So, for example, MFA, right? Are all your administrative accounts covered?
Yeah.
Are all your user accounts covered? Are you using only strong methods, right? Have you eliminated SMS and email? Now, not every company has the same security requirements or the same risk appetite. So companies can absolutely set those criteria to be whatever they want to be, but we do provide things out of the box.
Is this, I guess, heavily regulated industries, those that are subject to stricter forms of compliance and multiple regulatory
No, I mean,
bodies,
certainly
or?
those, right? But we believe even companies that sort of fall under that cyber poverty line could use this, right? CISOs want to know their stuff is working every single day. They don't want to pivot across 40 dashboards. Companies that are small, that may not even have an IT department, they outsource everything to MSPs and MSSPs. How do they know that those MSPs have the controls configured properly?
So you think
so
that
we
they
have
would
MSPs actually coming on board because they want to offer this to their customers.
So you would work in tandem with them?
That's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
so then it would complement the service that they're getting.
That's right.
And
So-
therefore, as a smaller company, they don't
Yeah.
feel as if they're missing out on
That's
some
right.
of those features.
And then the cherry on top of all of this is cyber insurance.
Right.
Okay.
So,
was
I
gonna
mentioned
ask
that.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because cyber insurers lost their shirts when ransomware emerged, right? Because they didn't have actuarial data to model
I
that.
don't feel really bad for them losing. I mean,
I mean,
okay, they do
right.
run a business,
That's
but
right,
they have
yeah.
been paid in a lot of money.
That's right.
But okay,
for sure.
they lost
for
their
sure, right?
shirts, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's the old, fool me once, shame on me, right?
Right.
Or shame on you. I don't know.
Yeah.
George Bush said it best, probably.
He probably did.
Can't fool me again. But You know, what we found is that the insurers are hungry for actual proof that the insureds are configured properly. And so we have 20-some insurers and a handful of brokers, I think 5 now live in the platform, that will accept the outputs of our system in lieu of a cyber
20?
application.
You have 20.
22, I think, is the official count.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can better assess risk and then set the premiums.
That's right.
If they okay.
Yeah.
And
Rather
the
than
customer,
having how long is a
that's right.
How long is a stick kind of
does
thing.
That's right. And the
also
customer
help-
can quote, bind, and issue insurance through our platform
Oh.
without having to go
Oh,
through the
really?
process. Yeah.
So can they also negotiate based on the validation they have from you? Like, in other words, they're saying, not only have I ticked the box, but I have proof, not just evidence,
Sure.
that I've got these controls in place that you
Yeah.
have on your list, Mr. or Ms.
Right.
Insurer.
Yeah.
Can they then use it? I mean, I know this isn't
Yeah,
part of
well,
your service,
what
but
they'll
can
get
they
is they'll get
negotiate?
multiple quotes from different
Okay.
insurers, right?
Oh,
And,
they play them
different
off of
insurers
each
care
other.
about different
Okay.
things, right? Some
Okay.
really care about MFA, which is great. Some really care about email security because we see a lot of BEC, right?
Sure,
So
sure.
they offer different things: 20% off your premium, no retention, you know, 0 cost IR deductibles, things like that.
Right.
And so there's different benefits, but. You know, we view that as the cherry on top because the primary, it is a
Right.
byproduct of what we produce.
Okay. And where do you think things are going afterwards? I mean, you've got stage 4 plus the cherry.
Right. Yeah.
So what's cherry's important?
Where's
Yeah.
the whipped cream
Oh, where's
in
the
all
whip-
of this? Come on.
Exactly.
Ah,
Where is
great.
the whipped cream?
Where's the chocolate sauce? Yeah.
Where's the
chocolate
chocolate
sauce.
sauce?
Yeah, maybe we may have driven the cherry on top analogy to
Too much.
the natural limit. Yeah.
But is it linked to new types of new or emerging threats? Is it linked to the general increase in
Yeah.
threats because of
Well,
AI and AI
so
agents, for instance?
at
that
the
kind of thing?
yeah, it's an excellent question. I think what we have built is. And I hate to use this word because it sounds like I'm going back 20 years to the time before SaaS, right?
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, we're an architectural infrastructure play. We have built a data fabric, a token architecture, and an API gateway. Now, once we have all that data from those level 4 proofs coming in,
Yeah.
and we build this as proof ledger over time. So most tools in our
Ledger
industry.
in, like, blockchain, do you mean? Like that kind of ledger? Or
Yeah, great question. We are architected to be put on chain. We are not currently doing that,
Okay.
frankly, because we
Okay.
haven't seen customer demand
they
for
don't
it.
want it. Yeah. Okay.
And they don't understand. I actually think it's a brilliant use of blockchain.
Yeah.
But all the tools that I'm aware of in our industry are basically optimized for security operations. They tell you what's wrong right now. What do I need to do right now? What do I need to fix? And hopefully, how do I fix it?
Yeah.
Which we also do. But nobody else allows you to go back in time and see what your configurations were, what your resilience posture was the day before the big boom happened. We can do that. Thus the flight
Got it,
recorder
got it.
analogy,
Okay.
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's because strangely enough, the kind of similar question came up in our last
In our last
discussion,
thing, yeah.
which was about they said, look, we don't want to go anywhere near SaaS.
Yeah.
We want to get down to the code level. We talked about
They also
C++.
don't want to go anywhere near blockchain. They
Exactly.
were saying we just
It's
do
a
good
no.
old-fashioned data
And they said there's
security.
all
Yeah.
these
Do
other
it well.
companies.
Yeah.
There's all these
Yeah.
other companies that can do that. We want to just maintain the
Yeah.
look at the infrastructure, the
Well,
layers.
people
aware
chase
of-
shiny objects,
Yeah.
right?
I know.
And,
It's
and
a
our
human
industry is pretty
condition.
bad about it.
So I want to check time because we only have Josh for so long.
Yep. Fine.
Okay, so here's the net that I'm taking away.
Hmm.
You do everything. No. You're looking at validating controls,
Yes.
which is something we've never really been able to validate. You help with GRC
Yes.
because
And that's also a byproduct of what we do,
but
right?
it's an important piece that we don't do well, and we end up with spending millions of dollars with consultancies and doing a lot of Excel spreadsheet around
Sure.
it.
Yep.
And there are other companies doing this.
Right.
Just looking at the GRC piece of it.
That's
and then
right.
you also have this byproduct, which is insurance. So is the new definition of resilience, therefore, do you have the controls? Have you done the hygiene right? Can you prove it? And does it help you tick the box in a validated way with your GRC? And
Yes.
does it also help you with your insurance? And you didn't talk about incident response.
Yeah.
Because that's the other byproduct that I see as a potential here.
Yeah.
If that's the case, Josh,
Yeah.
and we're getting to know you, right? So
Yeah.
if that's the case,
Yeah.
then that is resilience
Yes.
in my mind.
Yeah. We actually have a customer that's an IR firm. And they work primarily with Microsoft customers, which is great. You have a standardized architecture that you know about, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking to them, and we said, what's the number one thing you deal with your customers? And they said, business email compromise, which depressed me heavily as a CISO, and I went home and had a bourbon. But then when I started thinking about it, we took the motion that they ran with new customers who were coming in with business email compromise, and we turned it into what we call a journey. Journeys are just bundles of requirements that get you from point A to point B.
Okay.
We don't care where the requirements come from. And so we took that whole thing, that whole motion, converted it to almost entirely level 4 proofs. So they have a new customer come in, the customer connects their M365, their Azure, their Entra, whatever they have, and it validates their posture against the requirements of not getting business email compromised. And the cool thing is, now we've automated that both for the IR firm, who can do it much faster and charge the same amount of money, and the customer now has a leave behind that shows them.
Say that.
That's true. I'm not great about secrets management. But then it turns out that the customer gets a leave behind, so they get to see on a daily basis if they're still hardened against that attack path, which is really cool.
That is really cool.
Well, I mean, that's really interesting. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah, for sure.
Really, thank you so much, Josh. You came on last minute. You educated us about resilience, which in my mind is kind of a yawner because I've been around for 20 years, and really resilience is nothing that I would associate with everything that you just said, but it was really interesting, so I really appreciate it.
That's
if you
my
can
pleasure.
hang out for like 5 minutes, we'd love to thank you in person, but we're going to do our wrap up here. And
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Should I exit stage right?
You can if you
You
like.
can if you like.
Just don't talk.
Okay.
I'll leave it
So
in.
now if you
As the
can
blooper
focus
reel.
on us,
Yeah.
that'd be
So
great.
so yeah, that was great.
It was so great to have Josh on.
It
Oh my
was. It was
goodness,
very
and
good.
Here, live in person.
I
It
know,
was so fun.
on a very comfortable sofa and
Very
chair
comfortable.
and
Can
chairs
we
as well,
curl up
which
and
is great.
take a nap, you know?
Well, yeah. Don't tempt
The
me.
only thing is, I'm not in my PJs. I mean, 'cause we do audio
Yeah.
only
We
on-
have to have
anyway,
like proper
we have
shoes
to
and
have
everything
hair
on.
and makeup, you
Yeah.
know?
So folks, thanks for joining us for this one.
Yeah.
We will have another episode tomorrow, which is Tuesday, day 2 of
day 2. This is
RSAC,
day 1
and then
only.
one on
Yeah.
Thursday as well, Christina.
That's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you so
Thanks
much
everybody for joining us. We look forward to you tuning in again tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye-bye.